June 12, 2017. I will now call our regular scheduled board meeting to order. We do have a quorum of our board members present. Mrs. Diossis will lead us in the pledge, and Mr. Rector will lead us in the vocation. Please stand. Pledge allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Heavenly Father, we come again thanking you for the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you, God, for just watching over this district as we come to the end of another good year. Come ask a special blessing upon all our young graduates as they take the next step in their lives. And I pray for these our 4 board members as they be sworn in here this evening. Pray that you'll bless upon us. And I pray, oh God, as a whole, bless this board to continue to do the things that we always have done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us. We do have a big crowd for a June meeting, so thank you for taking out one of your summer days to join us. The first item on the agenda is an action item. The oath of office will be presented to the newly elected board members by Mrs. Adriana Moreno. We are going to have Mr. John Molinax, Mr. David Rector, and Mr. Terry Stansberry come to the front. These are our newly re-elected board members. We're glad to have them back. Okay, y'all repeat after me, please. I state your name.
I, John Shenberry,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
not directly or indirectly paid,
offered, promised to pay, contributed, offered, promised to pay or contributed,
offered, promised to pay or contributed,
or promised to contribute any money
or promised to contribute any money
or thing of value,
or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or any public office or employment,
for the giving or withholding of a vote
or the giving or withholding of a vote
at the election at which I was elected, or as a reward to secure
Award for secure
my appointment or confirmation,
my appointment or confirmation,
whichever the case may be,
whichever the case may be.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name,
I, John Molinax,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of school board trustee
of school board trustee
of the Aransas Pass Independent School District
of the Aransas Pass Independent School District
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God. We're having to resign? All right.
Let me go ahead and do it.
Are we going both or just one?
You're gonna do that. Once the pages are due. So go ahead and do it now. Okay.
you're aware, Mr. Rector and Mr. Stansberry both, this year, Mr. Rector has 25 years under his belt, and Mr. Stansberry 20 years as APISD school board members. So we thank them very much for their service. I'm very glad to have Mr. Molinak back. He was an educator and he's done a great service to our district. So now we're going to have Mr. Victor Galvan come up and do his swearing in. Congratulations to Mr. Galvan. He also previously has over 10 years of experience on our school board.
And I want to copy that person who's ready, that was too wordy. Sorry, guys.
I don't know what to pause. Okay, you'll repeat after me.
Okay.
I
I, Victor Galvan,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I have not directly or indirectly
that I have not directly or indirectly paid,
offered, promised to pay,
offered, promised to pay,
contributed or promised
contributed or promised
to contribute any money or thing of value,
to contribute any money or thing of value,
or promised any public office
or promised any public office
or employment for the giving or withholding
or employment for the giving or withholding
of a vote
at the election at which I was elected,
at the election at which I was elected,
or as a reward to secure my appointment
or as a reward to secure my appointment
or confirmation,
or confirmation,
whichever the case may be.
whichever the case may be.
So help me God.
So help me God. This one's an easy one. I, Victor Galvan,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office
of the school board trustee
of the Aransas Pass Independent School District
of the Aransas Pass Independent School District
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Galvan. Congratulations.
Okay.
Welcome
Take it
back
home, Miss.
aboard. Volunteering sometimes can be a thankless job. So we all are here because we love it. We love our communities. We love the kids of the school district. Many of us were born and raised and went to all of these same schools, so we're happy to be here. The next item on the agenda is an action item. It's the reorganization of the board. Policy BDAA legal requires the board reorganization after each election. The superintendent will assume the responsibility of receiving the motions for nominations for this agenda item.
Good evening. I'm open to motions.
I move that the board elects Veronica Johnson as president.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Piazza, second by Ms. French. All in favor?
Aye.
Let me see a show of hands, just. Okay. And the ayes have it. Congratulations, young lady. Looking forward to working with you another year.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We have a
indeed.
great team.
We do.
Great team,
We
and
do.
there's nothing that's done within the school district that we don't do together.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Congratulations. I'll take a motion for vice president.
Vice President, I'll make a motion for Ms. Del Biase. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Show of hands, please. Congratulations. And again, looking forward to working with you. If that can do, let me know. Yes, indeed. I'll take motions for secretary.
Make a motion for Mr. John Molax.
Motion by Veronica Johnson. Any seconds?
Second.
Second by David Rector. All in favor, please show, say aye and raise a hand.
Aye.
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, Ms. Molinex. Again, looking forward to working with all of you. We do have a great team. Great team.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is an information item. The board welcomes the public and its comments. We ask that you refrain from comments about any district employee without proper due process. This is a time for the board to stop, look, and listen. No, we don't have anyone signed up tonight. The next item on the agenda are the minutes of the May 8th, 2017 regular board meeting and the May 12th, 2017 special board meeting. This information was provided to the board for their review over the weekend. Are there any questions or corrections? A motion by Mr. Stansberry, a second by Mr. Rector. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the ranking of our general contractors. We have Todd here to go over the information that the board was provided to review.
Thank you, Board President, board members, superintendent. I've got two handouts for you, and I can do those at this time.
So for public information, prior to taking the bids, the board, along with administration, approved a selection criteria that was given to the contractors. The contractors provided their bids based upon those provisions. And so we're going to review these and possibly, make a decision or discuss the winning bid.
So the first handout is the proposal tabulation. So we, 24th, we sat down and we opened proposals from 4 general contractors that submitted proposals for the project. And I can read it through, or basically I'll just read the base proposal and the general contractor, and this is in alphabetical order. Don Crew Construction, $11,259,000. Journeyman Construction was $11,583,000. Summit Building and Design was $11,069,900. And then we had Teal Construction Company at $12,110,000. And then there were other items on there that we filled out, and then there was 15 different alternates that were, you'll see those attached. If you have any questions about those, I'll be happy to answer any questions on the on the actual proposal tabulation. The
Todd,
second-
I have a few questions.
Sure,
I'm just getting started, so
sure.
I'm a little behind the curve here, so I'm gonna say it like this. When I first got my job, or my second job about a year ago, I left an employer, I was there 15 years, so it was new. So the first few months with the new organization was my honeymoon period. So they were pretty patient with me, so this is kind of my honeymoon period here with the board. So I'm gonna ask you guys to be patient with me while I get caught up and back up to speed. The delivery method that the district approved, and this is just for my information, so I understand exactly where we're at, was not a hard bid method.
Correct.
The method that you guys used was a competitive seal bid method.
Competitive seal proposal.
And what are the benefits of that method?
Well, the competitive seal proposal, what that does is that gives you a number of items that you can rank a contractor on, not necessarily just the price or the number of days, but some of the project references, previous projects, the personnel working on the project, any, other items that you could add in there. And so once you do that, that allows you to negotiate with that, with the number one ranked contractor.
So has a negotiation already occurred?
No, it
Okay,
won't
so-
happen until we rank them. Once we rank them, we'll start with number one. And then if we can come to a contract agreement after negotiation, then we'll sign an agreement. If we can't, we'll move on to number two.
Okay, so right now, we're at the process to where we're ranking them.
Correct. So what we did is a day or two after the bid opening, or the proposal opening, we got all the packages, we came to superintendent's office, went through all those, and then we ranked them based on what they submitted and based on what's in the specs.
So the amounts that you're giving us tonight is the amount that came out of the bid itself?
Correct.
So there has been no negotiation with them whatsoever?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
And this is also, just for public knowledge, this is for the elementary school.
This is for the elementary school, correct, on the Falk campus.
So one more question. The amount that was presented to the voters, what was that dollar amount for the elementary school?
The elementary was 11.7 million.
Okay.
Any other questions? The second piece of information you have is the tabulation of selection criteria. So this is where we took all the data, and then we, based on an Excel spreadsheet, ranked them. And so the monetary proposal, 250 points, we ranked all four contractors, and then calendar days was 50 points, so we ranked all four general contractors. And we went on down the line, number of years as a general contractor, judgments or claims, lawsuits in the last 5 years, projects last 3 to 5 years, and so we ranked those, and then we ranked the personnel that they're going to have particularly on the project, the project manager and the job superintendent, so we ranked those, and then we had if any of them had defaulted on a project, so that was at the very end. So we ranked them all, 1 through 4, and we tabulated them. So based on that, that's where you see we have Don Crew Construction, number 1, Journeyman, number 2, Summit, number 3, T Construction, number 4. And so that's what y'all have to decide to vote on and make an action on. And then this information has to be posted for 10 days.
So looking at the tabulation, the lowest bid was presented by Summit.
That's correct.
But when you apply the criteria
That's correct.
that we use, Don Kruger comes up at number 1 on the tabulation.
Primarily, you see items, projects in the last 3 to 5 years. It's primarily based on experience, similar projects, the size of projects. That was pretty much the factor.
During the discussions on the way that the board would progress with the bond, was there ever any discussions on having a project manager, and was that dollar amount ever taken into consideration?
Not like a construction project manager, no.
So who-
Third party.
So who's going to serve in that capacity for us?
Well, our office does that on site. I mean, that's part of our CA. I mean, you can hire a third party. I mean, that's totally up to the board.
Why would the board not do that?
Well, it's sometimes based on cost. I mean, it's between 0.5% and 1.5% of the total bond cost. That's typically what we've seen. So it's your call.
It's at the board's discretion.
Correct.
So if the board was to decide to do something like that, when would they do that?
You probably want to do it pretty soon, probably before you start construction.
And what's the advantage of having a project manager?
Well, sometimes they're on site a little bit more. Sometimes if the school doesn't have somebody that's can be available quite a bit of time to discuss projects or any concerns, and they do that. I mean, on this size of a project, I mean, I really wouldn't recommend it. I mean, it's your call, but maybe it's a $40 or $45 million bond. You might have a project manager. The last 4 or 5 projects we've done, we're doing one in Ingleside right now. That's a $45 million project. They started initially with TASB at the very beginning. Once we hired a general contractor, they didn't feel it was necessary to have them on board. So it just depends on the district.
No, I understand, and I guess, and you and I have known each other a long time.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Womack and your firm have done an outstanding job for us over the years. When you look across the district, you can see the facilities. So I don't mean to be pointed with you, but I'm going to add some real pointed
Sure.
business decisions. As from a business standpoint, as an employer of Lamar Womack, I'm sure you do an outstanding job for him, and you protect his best interests. Would you agree with that?
Well, actually, Lamar's retired.
Okay.
So I'm one of the owners of the company.
Okay.
So there's 3 partners.
So you look out for the best interest of your firm.
Yes, sir.
And the construction company, let's be honest with you, I'm in business. We open our doors, we turn on our lights to make a profit.
Correct.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I mean, that's what makes the world go around, right? Making money and being an employer. So their best interest is their construction company.
Right.
Okay, and we're the school district. We have a fiduciary responsibility to protect the best interest of the school district. That's what the taxpayers elected us for. That's why they have their faith in putting this bond in us. So you're protecting the best interest of Lamar Womack, which is nothing wrong with that. They're protecting the best interest of their construction company. And we're out here, and I don't believe anybody on this board has a professional degree in engineering, or they have the knowledge base of construction. So we're having to rely on yourself and not an independent third party to protect our interests. Protecting our interests would be change orders, anything that was in error or omissions, and all those different things. So I guess as an advocate for public education and what we do here in the school district, I'm asking who's protecting the best interests of API ISD, and that's not a direct reflection on you whatsoever. It's a business question that I'm asking you.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's your decision if you want to do that. I just, it's only been started the last 4 or 5 years. There have actually been companies that do that. So previous to that, we've done 30 new schools and haven't had no project managers, outside project managers on.
No, I understand that. Again, my whole perspective is API ISD and the taxpayers. I don't have the formal training in engineering, and I don't have the experience with construction, and I want the assurances that our taxpayers' best interest is being represented. And that's not a slight on you or for these guys, because I'm sure Don Kruger, as a matter of fact, when I was an 18-year-old young man, I helped construct AC Blunt. I didn't know a whole lot about construction, but I was out there getting a paycheck doing my part, and they were a good company. So I guess my point to the board is, I mean, as elected officials, that's something that we should consider, because we surely don't want to get to the end of the period or wherever and have things that weren't done. Had we had a third party protecting us, then maybe that stuff would have come to the forefront and we would have been able to protect ourselves. That's my point.
Well, yes, and we did
We did talk
discuss,
about it.
yeah, we
Yeah.
did discuss it, and we talked about all the things that you're bringing up now. So, cost, we would have to roll that into it. Plus, we also talked about, we have our maintenance director, that would play an active role in project management, as well as, of course, our superintendent, who is over everything within the daily operations of the district. But they're all very good points, because if you do hire a project manager, that is what their specialty is, they're trained in it, they're there to see all of those things. But yes, we have talked about it.
Those are my questions.
That's my understanding, it will be up to us.
That's
If
correct,
we want
it
to do that,
is.
that's a separate discussion at this
100%.
point.
Yes, ma'am.
But this is what you're proposing for us now in this stage.
Any other questions or comments?
Have you, can you even say, have you had experience with Ron Kruger?
Yes, ma'am. We have probably maybe 4 or 5 school projects that they've done for us. They kind of specialize in schools, so they've done a lot of school projects.
In this area?
In this area, I think they're out of Victoria, so, yes, ma'am.
I know that when we completed the construction project at AC Blunt, Jaeger Electric was one of the big contractors, which was good because they're a local company, with Mark Roach. And when we finished the construction project and we they turned it over and we turnkey, I think there were like 5 orders that had to go through that whole building. So that speaks volumes of the quality of work at that point.
And for me personally, I really like that we did the bids this way, so that we can break it down and take a closer look at their qualifications, as a whole.
Did we get clarification why the West Drive was somewhat more expensive than, are they using the different material or?
On the west, no, ma'am, we haven't had any contact with any of the contractors
okay.
until we make a decision on the base proposal.
Everything else is pretty aligned, but that one went from 57 to 73,000 is a big jump, scope together.
So that would be part of the negotiation process?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion to approve the ranking of the general contractors based on the tabulation of selection criteria as defined and recommended by administration?
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Rector,
Second.
a second by Ms. Diossis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is the accounts. Thank you, Todd. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is the accounts payable report. It is included for the board's review. Do you have any questions or comments regarding the accounts payable? The next item on the agenda is another information item, the budget and status investment reports. This report as well was provided for the board's review. Do you have any questions or comments? The next item on the agenda is the tax collection report. It was also provided for the board's review. Any questions? The next item on the agenda is an information item. The STAR updates will be shared by administration. Welcome.
No, this is Ms. Shelley Dominguez.
Oh, yes, sir.
Our students have completed their spring testing, and our district is scheduled to receive our results for the 3 to 8 testing on the 14th on Wednesday, so we don't have those yet, but you have the 5th grade and 8th grade SSI scores for reading and math, and you have our high school ELC scores. So those are the scores that I'm going to be talking about. At Charlie Marshall Elementary, our students performed 75% passing in math and 61% in reading on that first administration. Students received remediation, the ones who failed, and took the retest in May, and now the percentages are 81% for math and 75% for reading. At AC Blunt, 100% of our Algebra 1 students met the standard. For 8th grade math, 52% met in March, and after retesting, it was 68%. In reading, 61% met in March, and after retesting, 76% met the standard. So you'll see in the chart that the percentages are a little bit below where the 8th graders were last year. But when you look at the cohort of students, the 7th graders coming into 8th grade from the previous year, those scores are higher. So students who have not passed are attending summer school and they're receiving specialized instruction. They're going to be retesting on the 20th and the 21st. And we will receive their scores on July the 7th. Also, any students who do not pass the summer testing will be scheduled into STAR remediation classes in the fall. So they'll have the opportunity to get extra specialized help during the school year. At our high school, the percentages for approaches are Algebra 1, 71%, Biology, 73%, English 1, 51%, English 2, 39%, and U.S. History, 93%. We saw some very large increases in our Algebra 1 and our English 1 performance from the previous year, so we were very encouraged by that. Our U.S. History scores are remaining high, as they have in the past several years. In English 2, you're going to see that our percentages went down just a little bit, but again, the percentages for that same group of students actually increased from the previous year. So if you look at the 2016 score, we did actually have an increase with that same group of students. And in biology, our percentage at approaches decreased just a little bit due to our retesters, and we had we had less students actually taking the test this year, and there's a note there to that effect that you have on your report that you can refer to. But all of the students who haven't passed are in summer remediation. They will take their retest the week of June 19th through the 23rd. And students who do not pass will be scheduled into remediation classes in the fall. Any questions about this?
I got one question.
Yes,
When
sir.
you say approaches, what does that mean, approaches?
Okay, that's a great question. They renamed the categories. So approaches basically is that level 2 phase-in standard. Meets is the final recommended standard, what used to be the final recommended standard. And then mastered is the advanced standard. So it's basically just changing the names. One of the reasons that that was changed is to make it more understandable for parents. So when you say approaches grade level, it's not quite to the standard we want them to yet, but they're close.
And all of our scores showed improvement from last year as far as what their test results were. I mean, you know, the kids that tested last year, they tested again, you know, like 6th graders and 7th grade or whatever, or 8th graders. The tests that we had data on that show a marked improvement in their test scores this year?
So far,
from what they did last year?
So far, we're seeing quite a few jumps in the scores. We still have some areas, of course, that we know we want to work on. We still want to get better, that continuous improvement. But we saw, for example, in Algebra 1, all testers went from 54% to 71%. That's a pretty large gain. And then from our first-time testers went from 59% to 86%, which is a huge gain. And then our masters, ones who actually mastered and made that advanced score, went from 2% to 16%. So yes, we are seeing some gains, and where we're not seeing the big gains maybe in that year, we're seeing a gain in that group of students. So in that cohort of students coming in. So we're pretty encouraged by what we're seeing.
Now, as far as, now I understand that the new ABC rating system they're gonna get for districts is that's gonna happen. You know, if I understand, the legislators kind of passing that. And so basically, and part of that, I think, was the fact that if it showed, you know, the little kid doesn't pass, if he shows improvement from what he did last year, that the kid scores have increased over the years, you're showing progression, and you get points for that as far as the rating on ABC. So our kids were sitting all right as far as that goes, correct?
That'll be in that student progress, which is index 2. We should see some good points there for that,
Okay,
for that part, yes.
thank you.
So to make me understand, is this isn't the final results for the school district? Are these preliminary results?
Yes.
These are preliminary, when are the final results coming, or will they be released?
They won't be until August.
And those are the reports that include all the subgroup populations?
Yes.
So once all the retesters are done, right?
Mhm, mhm.
Do they not, in this preliminary release, do they not list the subgroups?
We do have summary reports that have the subgroups in them, but it's not finalized because it's based off a snapshot. So it's based off of the group of students that was here on a certain date at the end of October. So all of those have not been pulled out and,
Do we have to do that as a district, or does the state
no,
do
the
that
state
for us?
does that for us.
So, question, why would we not be included a copy of the subgroups in the report that you're giving us today for us to see?
The principals were asked to provide just their basic report of what they have. If you'd like that, I can get that.
Okay, I'd
Or
like to see.
they were asked to just create something for you guys.
Well, when we're looking across the district, we're looking across not only the district as a whole, but we're also looking across our minorities, which is historically can be disadvantaged. And I'd like to see the achievement gap between those groups to see how we're doing across the district and not just general numbers.
Sure, I can get that for you.
Thank you.
You can share that with the entire board.
Okay.
Thank you.
The good news about this district, by the way, is that we generally don't see a lot of gap in between our low SES and our all students and between our ethnicities and our all students. So we're doing well in that respect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is an update on our student advisory.
That's me as well.
Thank you.
Well, we are in our first stages of implementation. So the principals are in the process of devising their selection criteria for this group of students. So that is what they are tasked with. So they're determining how they're going to choose who will participate in this group. Once that's determined, we will have them start that selection and we're going to move forward with the program. So we're set to, the principals know, and we're set to implement that this coming year.
And so the board, really wants it on record that we want this to target different population groups within the students. So we want to create leaders. So the students that don't normally get the opportunity to be in a group like this, we want those students to have the opportunity. So a broad, broad range of students on this advisory board.
Thank you. Yes.
Anything else? Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is an information item. The new hires were included for the board's review. Mr. Kemp, do you have any comments for us or additional information?
No, just the list of the teachers and staff we had hired, so I just want you guys to have an opportunity to view a resume and names as we move forward, fill these retirement positions and people who have decided to move on. So I think right now we still have about, I think it's less than a half dozen positions to fill.
A half dozen?
Less than a half dozen.
Okay. Do any board members have any questions?
Just for a matter of clarification on the new hires, previously, New hires were brought to the board, and based on the superintendent's recommendation, they were approved. Or does this go through an approval process, or is this an information item?
This information item, as of the 6th of June, the board has granted the authority to hire teachers and classified staff. But all administrators still need to go through closed session and a recommendation.
Thank you.
Anyone else? The next item on the agenda is to convene in closed session. It is now 7:42, and we will convene in closed session. Thank you. It is now 8:30 p.m. We're going to reconvene into the open session. Thank you all for waiting. Do I have a motion to approve the new hires as recommended by administration?
I make a motion to approve the new hires that were recommended by administration.
Motion by Ms. Branch,
Second.
second by Ms. Diossis. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. With no other business being